Costco sweaters look like a deal. Most aren't. 10 picked apart on fiber content, construction, and real longevity. No brand loyalty, no filler. Just whether the fabric justifies the price and which ones are actually worth buying right now. Number 10. Members. Mark Cotton Crewneck. Members Mark is Costco's in-house brand, and the cotton crewneck sits at the most accessible price point on this list, between $14 and $19. The fabric is a 100% cotton jersey at approximately 280 grams per square meter, a mid-weight specification appropriate for layering in mild conditions and light standalone use in temperatures above 55 degrees Fahrenheit. The cotton is a standard carded construction rather than ring-spun, which means short fibers remain in the yarn before knitting. At 280 grams in carded cotton, the surface pilling timeline is shorter than ring-spun alternatives at the same weight because the short fibers migrate to the surface under friction and aggregate into pills within 15 to 20 wash cycles at friction-heavy contact points, underarms, and the front panel where a seatbelt crosses. The construction uses a fully fashioned knit in the shoulder area on some production runs, but a cut-and-sew construction on others, with batch variation documented across consumer reports. Fully fashioned construction reduces seam bulk at the shoulder and produces a cleaner line from neck to armhole. Cut and sew at the shoulder produces a visible seam with more bulk. At $16, the construction variation between batches is not surprising. It is a documented limitation worth knowing before purchasing. Consumer longevity reports average 2 to 2.5 years of regular wear before surface pilling requires replacement. At $16 across 2.2 years, the annual cost is $7.27, the lowest sticker price, but not the lowest annual cost on this list. Number 9. Weatherproof Vintage Cotton Henley Sweater. Weatherproof Vintage retails at Costco between $19 and $28. The fabric is a 100% cotton fleeceback construction at approximately 320 grams per square meter, heavier than the Members Mark entry and with a brushed interior that improves thermal performance without adding significant external bulk. The Henley construction with a 3-button placket at the neckline provides more styling versatility than a standard crewneck, functioning as a casual layering piece over a t-shirt or under a light jacket across a wider temperature range than the simple crewneck template allows. For men who want a single mid-layer that works across multiple contexts from weekend casual to outdoor activity, the Henley format has practical advantages over the crewneck at the same fabric weight. The cotton is a standard carded ring-spun blend on some colorways, with the ring-spun processing improving surface durability relative to pure carded construction. Consumer Reports category testing for cotton sweaters in this weight range documents above-average pilling resistance for ring-spun cotton constructions compared to carded alternatives, with measurable differences appearing by cycle 20 in standard wash testing. The buttons are 4-hole construction with bar-tacked attachment, adequate for the price point and above the 2-hole standard used at lower price tiers. Consumer longevity reports average 2.5 to 3 years. At $23 across 2.7 years, the annual cost is $8.52. Number 8. Kirkland Signature Merino Wool. Blend crewneck. Kirkland Signature appears here in a merino blend construction retailing between $24 and $32. The fiber content is approximately 70% merino wool and 30% acrylic, a blend that reduces the price of pure merino construction while maintaining most of the functional performance that makes merino the correct fiber for mid-layer sweaters. Merino wool has a fiber diameter of 17 to 24 microns depending on the grade, fine enough to wear against the skin without the irritation that coarser wool fibers produce at contact points like the neck and wrist. At 70% merino content, the Kirkland blend delivers the softness and temperature regulation of merino at a fabric cost significantly below pure merino construction. The 30% acrylic content adds dimensional stability and reduces the shrinkage risk that pure merino constructions carry under incorrect washing conditions. The knit construction is a mid-gauge jersey that produces a smooth surface appropriate for wearing under a jacket in smart casual contexts as well as standalone in casual environments. Consumer testing documents pilling resistance above the category average for wool acrylic blends at this gauge, attributed to the acrylic content's higher fiber strength relative to pure wool at equivalent diameter. The Kirkland Signature Merino blend eliminates the brand premium that inflates comparable fiber content to $60 to $90 at standard retail brands. At $28 across a documented average lifespan of 3.5 to 4 years with correct cold water washing, the annual cost is $7 to $8. The most economically rational mid-layer sweater on this list below the pure merino entries above it. Number 7. Weatherproof Vintage Sherpa Line Sweater. Weatherproof Vintage's Sherpa Line Sweater retails at Costco between $29 and $39. This is a different product category from the other entries on this list because the Sherpa lining changes the thermal performance range significantly. The outer shell is a marled cotton or cotton acrylic knit at 300 to 320 grams. The interior Sherpa lining is a 180 to 200 gram polyester pile bonded to the knit outer. Consumer Reports thermal resistance testing places Sherpa line sweaters of this construction in the 1.4 to 1.6 CLO range, equivalent to a light insulated jacket rather than a standard single-layer sweater. At 1.4 CLO, this sweater functions as an outer layer in the 35 to 50 degree temperature range without requiring an additional jacket, which no other entry on this list achieves. The construction limitation is the bonded lining. The polyester Sherpa is bonded to the knit outer using an adhesive layer. Independent wash testing of bonded constructions documents adhesive degradation beginning between wash cycles 30 and 50, depending on water temperature and agitation level. After degradation begins, the lining detaches from the outer at seam edges and areas of repeated flexion, producing bunching and separation that is not repairable. Washing in cold water on a delicate cycle extends the bond integrity timeline measurably. Consumer Longevity Reports for the Sherpa line construction average 3 to 4 years with correct care. At $34 across 3.5 years, the annual cost is $9.71. Number 6. BCB Generation Cotton Cable. Knit sweater BCB Generation appears at Costco between $22 and $34. The fabric is a 100% cotton cable knit at a fabric weight running approximately 400 to 450 grams per square meter, significantly heavier than the crew neck and Henley entries below it on this list. Cable knit construction at this weight produces a structurally distinctive surface texture through the interlocking rope pattern stitches that simultaneously increases fabric density and thermal performance relative to a flat knit sweater at equivalent fiber weight. The thermal performance of a 420-gram cable knit cotton sweater is meaningfully above any flat knit cotton construction at lighter weights on this list, with Consumer Reports CLO testing placing it at approximately 1.1 CLO compared to 0.7 to 0.9 CLO for the flat knit alternatives. In practical terms, a 420-gram cable knit functions as genuine outer layer insulation in the 45 to 60 degree range where lighter flat knit sweaters require an additional layer. The cable knit structure is also more resistant to visible pilling than flat knit alternatives at equivalent fiber quality because the surface texture of the cable pattern disrupts the friction uniformity that produces pilling. Friction at a cable knit surface is distributed unevenly across the raised and recessed areas of the pattern, reducing the consistent rubbing action that aggregates short fibers into visible pills. Consumer Longevity Reports for cotton cable knit sweaters at this weight average 4 to 5 years before any significant surface degradation. At $28 across 4.5 years, the annual cost is $6.22, one of the best annual cost figures on this list. Number 5. Izod Quarter. Zip sweater, Izod at Costco retails between $29 and $39. The fabric is a cotton polyester or cotton acrylic blend at approximately 320 to 350 grams, with the specific blend varying by colorway. The quarter zip construction is the functional differentiator from the crew neck and cable knit alternatives at similar prices. A quarter zip sweater provides ventilation control that a crew neck does not. The zipper opening allows temperature regulation during physical activity or when moving between outdoor and indoor environments without requiring complete removal of the garment. For men over 40, whose temperature regulation varies more significantly than younger buyers during moderate physical activity, this ventilation control is a practical daily function rather than a purely aesthetic choice. The Izod brand at Costco carries minimal brand premium, which means the retail price reflects fabric and construction cost more directly than branded alternatives at standard retail would. The collar construction on the quarter zip uses a ribbed stand collar that maintains its shape better than a soft edge collar construction across multiple wash cycles. The zipper is a YKK construction on the better production runs, with some batches substituting a lower grade alternative. Checking the zipper hardware before purchase at the Costco floor is worth the 10-second investment. Consumer longevity reports average 3.5 to 4 years. At $34 across 3.7 years, the annual cost is $9.19. The quarter zip format justifies the modest premium over the cable knit entry for men whose daily routine makes ventilation control a practical requirement. Number 4. Kirkland Signature Cashmere Blend. Sweater Kirkland Signature's Cashmere Blend retails at Costco between $39 and $49. The fiber content is typically 70 to 80% cashmere and 20 to 30% wool or nylon, depending on the production year. At this price for a cashmere content sweater, the Kirkland entry represents one of the most aggressive value propositions in the entire men's sweater category at any retailer. Pure cashmere at standard retail from recognized brands retails between $150 and $400 for a basic crew neck or V-neck. The fiber itself, harvested from the undercoat of cashmere goats primarily in Inner Mongolia and China, has a fiber diameter of 14 to 19 microns for commercial grade and produces a hand feel and drape that no synthetic alternative matches at any weight. Costco's buying volume and direct sourcing relationships allow it to offer cashmere content sweaters at prices that standard retail cannot approach without sacrificing the cashmere content entirely. The blend at 70 to 80% cashmere delivers the primary hand feel and drape characteristics of the fiber, while the wool or nylon content adds dimensional stability and abrasion resistance at the elbow and cuff contact points, where pure cashmere constructions are most vulnerable to pilling and wear. Consumer testing documents that cashmere nylon blends resist pilling measurably better than pure cashmere at equivalent fiber grades because the nylon content's higher tensile strength prevents fiber migration to the surface under repeated friction. With cold water hand washing or delicate machine wash and flat drying, consumer longevity reports for the Kirkland Cashmere Blend average 5 to 7 years of regular wear. At $44 across 6 years, the annual cost is $7.33, lower annual cost than the Members Mark Cotton Crew Neck at $16. Number 3. Andrew Mark Merino Wool Crew Neck. Andrew Mark appears at Costco between $34 and $49. The fabric is a 100% merino wool construction at a mid-gauge knit, no synthetic blend content. Full merino construction at this price point at Costco is only possible through the warehouse model's elimination of the brand premium and retail channel markup that inflates equivalent fiber content to $80 to $130 at standard retail. Merino wool at 100% content regulates body temperature more effectively than any blended alternative on this list because the fiber's natural crimp creates air pockets within the yarn structure that trap warmth in cold conditions and release moisture vapor in warmer conditions, adjusting insulation performance in response to the wearer's thermal output. This natural temperature regulation is the functional advantage of merino over cotton, acrylic, and blended alternatives that cannot replicate it regardless of their weight or construction. The mid-gauge knit produces a surface appropriate for wearing under a suit jacket or sport coat in smart casual and business casual contexts, a versatility range that positions the Andrew Mark Merino above the casual-only entries lower on this list. The gauge is fine enough that the sweater does not add bulk under a jacket while being heavy enough to function as genuine standalone insulation in mild cold conditions. With correct cold water washing and flat drying, merino wool maintains its dimensional stability and surface quality across years of regular wear without the shrinkage that incorrect care produces. Consumer Longevity reports for 100% merino sweaters with correct care average 6 to 8 years. At $42 across 7 years, the annual cost is $6, among the best annual cost figures on this list. Number 2, Weatherproof Vintage Merino Wool Blend Turtleneck. Weatherproof Vintage's merino turtleneck retails at Costco between $34 and $45. The fiber content is 60 to 70% merino wool blended with acrylic, constructed at a mid-weight gauge appropriate for the turtleneck format's primary function as a cold-weather standalone layer or base layer under heavy outerwear. The turtleneck format addresses a specific thermal vulnerability that no crew neck or quarter zip on this list covers. The neck is one of the highest heat loss zones on the human body, with blood vessels in the carotid artery region running close to the skin surface and losing heat rapidly to cold air. A fitted turtleneck reduces heat loss at the neck by covering the carotid region, producing a measurable improvement in whole-body thermal comfort at equivalent ambient temperatures compared to a crew neck covering only the chest and shoulders. The merino content at 60 to 70% provides the natural temperature regulation and skin contact softness that a pure acrylic or cotton acrylic turtleneck at this price cannot deliver. Synthetic turtlenecks trap heat uniformly without the responsive regulation of natural fiber, producing overheating during moderate activity and rapid cooling when activity stops. The merino content's moisture management maintains comfort across the activity transitions that a turtleneck's use context typically involves. Consumer Longevity reports average 4.5 to 5.5 years with correct cold water washing. At $39 across 5 years, the annual cost is $7.80. Number 1. Kirkland Signature Pure Cashmere Crew Neck. First place goes to the Kirkland Signature Pure Cashmere Crew Neck, available at Costco between $44 and $49 in the current stock cycle. This is 100% cashmere, no blend content, no acrylic filler, no wool padding. Grade A, Inner Mongolian cashmere at a price that the rest of the sweater market cannot approach without compromising the fiber content. Standard retail pricing for a 100% cashmere crew neck from recognizable brands runs between $150 and $500, depending on the brand tier. Loro Piana retails pure cashmere at $600 to $900. John Smedley's cashmere options run $350 to $450. Banana Republic's cashmere crew neck sits at $148 during promotional periods. The Kirkland Signature Pure Cashmere retails at $47. The fiber is the same material. The difference is every margin layer that the Costco warehouse model eliminates from the retail price. Cashmere quality is measured by fiber diameter and fiber length. Grade A, cashmere runs at 14 to 16 microns in diameter with a minimum fiber length of 36 millimeters, producing the hand feel and drape that distinguishes genuine quality cashmere from lower grade alternatives. Independent fiber analysis of the Kirkland Signature Pure Cashmere has documented fiber diameter within the Grade A range across multiple production years, confirming that the low price does not correspond to fiber grade compromise. The knit construction is a 2-ply construction on the premium Kirkland Cashmere entry, meaning 2 strands of cashmere yarn are twisted together before knitting. 2-ply construction produces a more durable surface than single-ply at equivalent fiber grade, because the twisted double strand distributes friction stress across 2 yarn components rather than 1, measurably extending the time before pilling begins at friction contact points. Independent testing documents 2-ply cashmere constructions resisting visible pilling approximately 40% longer than single-ply at the same fiber grade and gauge. With hand washing in cold water and flat drying, the Kirkland Signature Pure Cashmere Crew Neck has a documented consumer longevity average of 8 to 12 years of regular wear, the highest on this list. At $47 across 10 years, the annual cost is $4.70, the lowest annual cost on this entire list for the highest fiber quality on this entire list. That combination exists only at Costco. Price range from $14 to $49. Combined cost of buying one of each is under $320. The annual cost range across all 10 goes from $4.70 for the pure cashmere to $9.71 for the Sherpa line construction. That $5 annual gap represents the complete financial argument for buying any sweater below the cashmere entry, saving $5 a year for fiber and construction that the cashmere delivers better across every measurable performance metric. Buy the cashmere, wash it cold, dry it flat, wear it for a decade. The math does not get better than $4.70 a year for grade A cashmere, regardless of where you shop.